like, can you see me? Am I good?
Not yet. It says waiting for Katie Page.
It'll be a delay of 30 seconds.
Okay. To me, it looks like it's going. So hello, everyone. If you're here, we're just getting set up. There's a lot of things going on in the background. Welcome. Paul, can you give me a thumbs up that it looks like we're streaming?
We're good.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, well, welcome parents and good evening. I am Katie Page, but before we get started, I thought we could all introduce ourselves tonight for the AI Parent Series, and tonight is all about translation. So I am not advancing the slides. Let's try that again. There we go. I am the Instructional Technology Coordinator for the district. That means I get to support staff with all things having to do with technology and teaching. Currently, that has a lot to do with AI, artificial intelligence, but I also was a teacher before I did this. Gabriella?
Hi, everyone. I'm Gabriella Stutz-Jackson, the Director of Professional Learning, and it's my honor to be here to support Katie's presentation tonight.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I am Veronica Gott, and I am the Director for the English Learner Program, and happy to be here, and I'm glad you're here as well.
Okay, thanks. So I just want to talk to what we're going to be taking a look at tonight. So we are going to learn a little bit about what AI is. In our prior session in the parent series, I spoke to this in a lot more detail than we're going to get to today, but I did want to touch on it a little bit. If you did want more information about AI in general or how we're using AI in the district in general, you can go back to the prior parent series session. I did send a recording to you in your email as well, or you can always reach out to me if you can't find it. But we will learn a little bit about AI. And then, of course, we're going to learn a lot about translation, and I'll show some examples from around the district of how people are using translation and AI to translate within the classroom, both from staff and from students. A little bit of housekeeping. If you would like to ask questions during this presentation today, you're going to need to be logged in to YouTube where you're watching this stream. So if you're watching this live, fantastic. That's great on YouTube. You can do this as well. If you're watching the recording, you can also do these two things. So in settings on the bottom of the screen you're looking at, you'll see a little settings cog. And under there, you will have two options to control the live stream or the recording. You can slow down the playback speed if you want by clicking on that choice, or you can also change the subtitles to your language of choice. So you can take a look at that right now if you want on the bottom of the little live stream to fix that. Again, to ask questions during this live stream, you have to be logged in to YouTube. Don't worry if you don't have a login. Don't worry about that right now. You can always just reply to my email to ask me any questions you have. Or at the end, we're going to be covering a lot of those questions and maybe somebody will have already asked it. So take a look at those settings and have that help you out as we go. Okay, let's talk about AI just a little bit in general and what it is. I like to use this transportation analogy, and you can see here I have transportation as the larger group, and then motor vehicles are a piece of transportation, and then electric cars are a very specific case of transportation. You can think about AI the same way. AI is the larger group. Something called machine learning is a subgroup of that. And then generative AI, that is, we're going to be talking about today, that's a very specific use case of AI. On the screen here, you'll see at the top next to where it says artificial intelligence, we have a little screenshot of your cell phone. And are you ever typing on your text and it predicts the next word? That's called predictive text, and that's a type of AI. Machine learning is another type of AI, and that is something where your app, like your Photos app, learns a little bit about you. And so it'll ask you maybe, is this person the same as this person? And it learns after asking through context over and over. Another example of machine learning is like your Spotify or your iTunes music, and it suggests music to you. That's another example of AI working in this machine learning kind of a way where it keeps testing and quizzing and testing and quizzing and learning from the information that it gets. Generative AI like Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, that is a very specific use case of artificial intelligence. And with this kind of AI, it can really generate new things. It can pull together words, it can generate new pictures, it can generate audio, it can generate ideas. So this is a brand new way of us using artificial intelligence. And today we're going to show you how that can help us translate, which is pretty great. So in the email that you received from me yesterday, there was a link to what's called a gem, and that's a different way we can use artificial intelligence to interact with information maybe you used to get in a guidebook or a piece of paper from the district, or maybe like a PDF in an email. The link that I sent you is mainly interacting with our AI guidebook for the district. And so when you get a chance, you can click on that to take a look at some of the things we've been working on with regards to AI, not only for staff and students, but also, for you in the community. Our guidebook has 4 pieces to it. There is a part for leadership strategy. There's a second part for the teaching and learning portion of it. There's a third part that has to do with policy, misuse, that sort of thing. And then the fourth part is the toolkit where teachers and students can look to see like what platforms are we using, what is okay to use, what's not okay to use. Again, our first session went into this in much more depth. So if you're curious, you can reach out to me or take a look at that recording. One of the ways that we're helping students make good choices about using AI is through our RISE framework. And the R stands for responsibility, I is integrity, S is safety, and E is, we couldn't decide on the E. So we've got empathy, ethics, and equity there. And so we're starting to wrap this into everything that we do in the district so students can ask themselves, did I rise to the challenge of using AI? This is another way that students might see expectations around AI in the classroom. So we have this zone model where teachers can just point to it and say, nope, this is red, we're not using AI, or green, yes, we're good to go. We can use AI for the entire assignment. And then anything in between, depending on what, the staff has decided for that particular assignment for kids to use. So expectations are being set for students on whether or not they can use AI in the classroom. And it's always good for students to make sure that they are clear on what is expected of them in this regard. So one of the ways that we're keeping kids' data safe on all of these AI tools is by having this kind of digital wall built around them to protect them and their privacy. And so we have lots and lots of digital tools in the district. I'm going to show you a bunch today. Veronica and I are going to walk you through all sorts of different things you can use to translate. But our core set is Gemini, which is Google's version of AI. OpenAI has ChatGPT. You might be more familiar with that one, or Claude is Microsoft. But the one we're using is called Gemini. And then we also use Notebook LM, which is another Google product, and Canva. That's our core tool, along, of course, with our iPads. And we're keeping them safe on these platforms. We've narrowed down all sorts of things. Paul, if you're still here, would you like to chime in? All of us are presenting from home, and I know Paul has littles, so you never know.
Yeah, so our primary tools, we choose them for specific reasons. We have to vet all of these tools. Legally, they're compliant with SOPA and FERPA, which are 2 laws in place to protect student data. So we stick to these systems for that particular purpose, to keep our District 214 student and staff data private. Unlike other tools that are not on that approved list, we make sure that the vendors we are working with, they don't sell our student data or use it to train their AI models further.
Yeah, that's great. Keeping everything nice and locked in. We like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in and have some fun with some of these tools. I want to show you just the most basic way. If you've never used AI, you can go to any of these. I'm going to use my little cursor here. Any of these little things, you can go to gemini.google.com. That's what everyone in District 214 uses. But you can also use ChatGPT, or you could use Claude. And when you go to these platforms, typically you'll see some sort of introduction at the top. You can see I'm signed in over here with my district account. And then it will like just have this nice big open window down here for you to give it a prompt, which is what I did. And so if you're following along and trying this at home and you opened a browser, you might want to type in something simple. If you've never used AI before, I typed in plan a getaway for this weekend in Chicagoland for me and my family. You can see I typed that in, and then I went ahead and hit enter, and you're going to see the little response that it gave me. And it happens pretty quickly. This is great. It's telling me, I did this a couple of weeks ago, and so you can see it was at the end of January, but it was 2026, and there's some pretty great things there. It's telling me I can go to, Millennium Park and go ice skating at Maggie Daley Park, or I could go to the Field Museum, et cetera, et cetera. I actually had some pretty good suggestions on there for a cold day in Chicago. So it's that easy to use AI, and really that's how easy it has become for our staff and our students to make sure that language is not a barrier for anyone. So let's take a look. So what we're looking at here is a document that a teacher was trying to translate into Spanish for their student, and their student has an 8th grade reading level in Spanish. And so what they did is they went ahead and attached the document that they were giving out to students. So let's just say it's some sort of a worksheet. And you can see in these chat windows, there's a little plus. So you can add things to these platforms to be translated. You can add photos, PDFs, documents, the list goes on. And so the teacher added a document and just put a very simple prompt to please translate this. And you'll see what happens here. We go ahead and we hit enter, and it takes a look at the document, and from context, it went ahead and translated this whole document. It happened to be a physics worksheet. And so it took all of the questions, including the formulas there, and it translated for the teacher. So then the teacher could take this document and then share it directly with the student. She can make it into a Google Doc, or just copy and paste the text and, share it in whatever manner works for them. Another way that we can translate is via email. Veronica, do you want to talk about this one? Oh, I think you're muted.
So many of our teachers have, if not all, have a little link at the bottom of their email when they reach out to parents and students, and it'll say to translate this email, click here. So by clicking that link, if a lot of parents already have it set up so that when they receive emails, it comes in their language. However, if they don't, look out for this link at the bottom of emails and make sure you click it, and it'll take you to a Google Translate page where you can copy and paste the email to your home language.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks. And then also, if you don't see that link, you could just copy the whole email, copy that text, and paste it into a Google Translate also. Another way you might want to take a look, depending on your email, wherever you're receiving your email. The one you're looking at here is Gmail, because that's what we use in the district. But I feel pretty safe to say that every email program has a translation feature at this point, every major one at least. So if you're using Gmail in particular, you can see here, I opened an email and then I clicked on the little settings. And within the settings, I was able to find translate the message as an option. If you check in your email, whatever platform you're using, I guarantee you there's a setting within the email that you can find in a menu to translate that message for you. So make sure that you check it out. Okay, let's talk about some student examples. So Veronica had talked to a teacher, and do you know what classes these were from, Veronica?
I don't remember the exact class. No, I don't. Sorry.
But it was just like a regular subject class. It wasn't like
Correct.
a language class. Yeah. So
No,
it was
no.
So a teacher went ahead and got just these examples from students that shows how they were thinking and writing in their own language during class. And then they will go ahead and use something like Gemini to translate that back into English to show the teacher their work. So this is fantastic because it's another barrier that's removed between a teacher and student that are not speaking the same language, so that the teacher can really get to the core of what the student knows, and more importantly, that the student can demonstrate what they know and understand without having language being a barrier. So you can see here that this student was writing on a piece of paper in their own language that's clearly not in English. And you can see here, well, it's clear to me that it's not in English. And then over here, you can see a student was writing in Notability in their own language. And then the first student, I'm showing you an example here, they can just take a screenshot or a literal picture with their phone if they want, or with their iPad, and put that into Gemini and translate it. So what they would do is they would click on this little plus, they would add the file, and they could add that probably from their photo roll if they took a photo. But you can add handwritten notes, a photo, a file, and then you would prompt it to say, translate this into English, and then just tell it go. And sure enough, it translates it to English. And then that student can take that, that information and either show the teacher live, or, take that information and put it wherever it needs to go. It's pretty amazing the times we live in. It makes me very excited. We do have apps as well. So students have access to quite a few things on their iPad through self-service. You probably can get a lot of these things on your phone as well. They are all free. You can go online to a web browser, Chrome or Firefox or Safari, and find all of these tools as well. So Apple Translate is a great one because we do use Apple products. Kids all have an iPad. And so Apple Translate is fantastic. It lives right on the iPad. They can use it anytime. Microsoft Translator is another one that's available. We like that. It's great for like open house or any meetings that are happening at school. And I'll speak to that one in a moment. And then Google Translate, of course, is the original one. I feel like has been around the longest. I didn't look that up. I just kind of feel like it's true that it's been the one that's been around forever. But you can find all of these online as well, even if you don't have the app. So let me show you a couple of these. I know this screen is a little busy, but this one here on the left is Apple's product called Translate. And when you first open it up, you're going to need to, agree to a couple things and say continue. This is true, with any app or any platform. And the thing that is great about Apple Translate is the camera. So kids have all of this on their iPad. They can walk up to any menu, any sign in the building, any advertisement for prom or homecoming, and hold up the camera, and it will instantly translate it for the student. You can take a picture of it if you want to as well. So I love the camera on Apple Translate. Of course, it does all of the other translation things like speak to text, talk to text. It has a face-to-face mode, which is nice, so that if I'm standing here and you're standing there and the iPad is flat, it's facing both of us. So it, it turns so that you can have a conversation, which is really nice. Microsoft also has one. That's this one here. The app looks like that. The thing that I like about Microsoft is you might start to see this around the district more and more. Lots of staff are using this when they have a presentation to do, let's say like at open house, and they can put a QR code outside of their classroom and you can scan it on the way in and see and read the translation in your own preferred language for what they're speaking and talking to at the front of the classroom. So Microsoft is really neat. The other thing that this app has that it's really cool is it will detect your spoken language without you punching it in. So when you're talking and someone else is talking and you have it in conversation mode, you don't have to tell it the language. So if there's a true language barrier and you don't even know what language the other person is speaking, it will detect it and figure it out. So it's very cool. And then Google Translate, I feel like is the one we're most familiar with, but you can find this on the iPad just by searching the word translate. Students might originally need to pull this out of self-service, but it's there and it works with all of the other same features. You can type to text, you can talk to text. It will also speak to you. You can leave it in a spoken word mode and it will listen and speak back and forth to both people that are talking. Really, really interactive. It's nice. Okay, we also have in the district, the district really has a commitment toward inclusivity and effective communication for everyone. And as a part of that, we have this language line that is available to you, and you want to make sure that you really utilize this. There are 3 types of services. We have over the phone, so you can just call and put the translator on speakerphone. We have video like we're on right now, a Zoom or a Google Meet call, and then in person. And it's both for spoken language and also for ASL. Veronica, did you have something to speak to about this as well?
Yes, thank you. We just want to make sure that that language is not a barrier for our families when they come through our doors. So it was important for us to make sure that that families have this right to request interpretation at any moment. So we try to do it with all our communication that goes home via email. And all the things that Katie just demonstrated are things that you can use to make sure that you can understand it in your home language. But we also want you to know that when you come in person and walk through our doors, there are different things that we can use. It might be one of those devices using one of the apps that were already mentioned, but it might also come in the form of over the phone interpreting. And that is where Language Line comes in. We call this service, we say we have a parent that speaks, let's just say, Spanish or Ukrainian, and we get a person immediately on the phone. They connect us with an interpreter, and we get somebody on the phone that is able to help us interpret your concern. So it helps us when we have parents coming in for registration that are new to the country, but also, we make sure that we have interpreters for other meetings. So if there's other meetings where you have to come in and talk to a staff member, please make sure that you say, I need an interpreter, and we will provide it.
Yeah, I like that. That's really great. Advocate, right? Advocate for yourselves. Make sure that you ask. We have this available. I thought this, when we were working on this together, Veronica, I was just floored that we have access to 240 languages. I wasn't aware. Do you know how many languages are spoken in our district right now? Or like
yes, there's 72 languages spoken in our district, and as far as this pretty much covers all of those languages, including some of the dialects that are spoken in our district.
That's amazing. Yeah, so just make sure that you are using our language line and asking for that, because we have this really awesome service ready for you to use. Okay, so before we get to your questions, I wanted to speak to some of the challenges. But even before that, I think that we're living in this AI age. There are definitely challenges. But one thing, one positive, and Veronica, I think you would agree, is that how easy it has become to just reduce that language barrier, or how easy it can be to reduce that barrier. And I'm pretty excited about all the tools that staff and students now have, so that we can, get to the learning part without having language be in the way. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you spoke to and I get really excited about is that our kids, our students that come, that are new to the country, they come with so much knowledge and so much culture and so much richness to share with us. And it's no longer a barrier because they can think in their language. They can put things down in their language, and teachers can see, everything that they have to offer. And it's also not frustrating for them because of all the apps, and they're able to understand what their teachers are trying to communicate. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I can't imagine the relief, of for those kids, especially when they're new to the country, when they sit down and they realize that just right there on their iPad, they can just be hearing what's going on in class and not feeling so frustrated. So yeah, it's great. Some of the challenges you can see here on the screen, and we're not going to spend too much time on this. We did speak to it, like I said, in the first parent AI series that we had, but aren't kids just having AI do all of their work? I mean, staff have really stepped up in 214. If something is just way too easy for AI to do, they're finding different ways to challenge students and to switch it up. Educators are good at being flexible and getting on to the next thing. So we're really combating that from two sides. Staff are reimagining what their classes can look like, and students, we're really trying to have them stop and think and use that RISE framework before they dive in and just start plugging things into AI. For critical thinking, aren't kids aren't thinking anymore. It's just not true. We have our zone model, and staff are really guiding them very directly about when they should be using AI, when they shouldn't be using AI, and always checking the information for biases and really for misinformation. Sometimes AI is still pretty stupid, so we have to really be looking at it and checking it for the right answers. We have a lot of students that don't want to use AI because of the environmental impact. And we've heard about data centers and the amount of water that it uses. In District 214, we're trying to make sure that staff and students are very intentional when they use AI. So they're not just using it all day long. They're using it when it's very targeted for instruction and for what the staff member is trying to have them learn and use with AI tools. So that's one way we're making sure that we're responsible as far as the environmental impact. And then just, getting them ready for the world that's waiting, because we think that the bigger risk is not having students using AI, because in the world that's waiting for them, often, really, we don't know what's going to exist for them as they go. So we want to make sure when kids graduate, they have those tools, the technology and the really AI literacy to help them in whatever career they end up going into. So we are ready to answer questions if there are any questions from anyone. And your next steps would be to try the gem that I emailed to you, and just stay informed. You're watching this, so you've got that checked off. And then maybe talk to your student, ask them how they're using AI to help lessen that language barrier, or just how they're using it strategically at school. Veronica, any last thoughts for today?
Nope. Thank you for joining us. And hopefully you can see the benefit in all these apps and also start using them, and make sure that you ask if someone isn't using them and there's a need for it. Please do not feel shy about it. Pull out the phone, use your app. We will be happy to work with you that way.
Yeah, I agree. Gabriella, did we have any questions?
I don't see any questions in the chat quite yet. Paul has left a note to, don't hesitate to drop your question there.
Okay. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, don't forget, you can always just reach out to me directly. And we hope you have a nice evening. Thanks for joining.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Have a good night.
Me.